She never forgot the look on his face. Not the defiant glare of a boy who'd been caught, but the quiet, deep humiliation of someone whose very existence had been deemed worthless. That day in the brightly lit, sterile hallway of Northwood High School was the day Amelia Hanson, future socialite and current queen bee, cemented her place in the social hierarchy by demolishing a quiet, unassuming black teenager named Elias Thorne. She had targeted his threadbare clothes, his reluctance to speak, and his intense, almost unnerving focus on his engineering textbook. She and her friends had laughed loudly and mercilessly. He had simply walked away, but the memory of that moment, the mocking laughter echoing in a confined space, was a small, sharp stone she occasionally stepped on. Years later, the city of Oakhaven was not merely changing. It was being reborn. Towering glass structures replaced crumbling industrial zones. A sleek new transit system crisscrossed the landscape, and a massive, technologically advanced civic center was a crown jewel. The man responsible for this impossible transformation was a name whispered in boardrooms with reverence. Elias Thorne, the lead visionary and chief architect of the formidable Thorne Group. He wasn't just building the city, he was her city, and now she was due to meet him. The memory of the quiet, mock black teen was about to collide violently with the reality of the powerful man who built her world. Before we continue this extraordinary account of reckoning and legacy, tell us, where are you following this unbelievable true story from? Are you in the USA? The UK? Which city are you watching this story unfold in? Drop a comment and let us know. The year was 2005. Northwood High existed in a bubble of old money and inherited expectations. Amelia was a product of that environment. Sharp, charismatic, and cruel without malice. Simply a lack of empathy. Her world revolved around designer labels and social dominance. He was Elias. He moved through Northwood's halls like a ghost, a scholarship student from the city's less affluent east side. His sole focus of future visible only in the blueprints he constantly sketched in his notebooks. His presence was a stark contrast to the effortless wealth surrounding him. He wore the same 3 shirts in rotation. He carried an intensity that isolated him more than his socioeconomic status. He was an anomaly they tolerated but actively ignored, until the day Amelia chose him as a spectacle. The incident occurred during a mandatory assembly cleanup. Elias was stacking chairs, meticulous and fastidious. Amelia, with her entourage, strolled past. One of her friends intentionally tripped him. His textbooks scattered. Among them was his most prized possession, a worn copy of the Roman architect Vitruvius's De Architectura. She stopped, looking down, not at him, but at the open book on the dusty floor. She said, "Oh, look, what is this, Elias? Building castles in the air?" He did not look up, collecting his papers quickly. "It's a textbook, Amelia." She laughed, a sharp metallic sound. No, this is a manual on how to be poor and dream too big. Tell me, are you planning to build the next cardboard box skyscraper on the east side? Because that's about your budget." He finally looked at her. His eyes, normally downcast, held a sudden, burning clarity. "I'm going to build cities, Amelia. Real ones, not just houses for rich kids." She knelt dramatically, picking up the dusty book by a corner. "Oh, a city builder, and you're started with your hand-me-down clothes and a book older than your father's car. How inspiring. Maybe start by building a bridge to reality, Elias." He snatched the book back, his voice low and tight. "You wouldn't understand. Everything you have was handed to you. Everything I get, I earn." She smiled sweetly, the expression utterly venomous. "And that's why you're stacking chairs, and I'm deciding which country I'm vacationing in next. Get real, Elias. You're a footnote here. A project." He walked away then, the weight of the book heavy in his hands. He didn't speak another word to her, or anyone in her group, for the rest of his high school career. He graduated, quietly, valedictorian, and disappeared into the relentless machinery of MIT, then the world of architecture and urban development. The incident, for Amelia, became a forgotten piece of high school folklore, a minor amusement. 15 years passed. Amelia was now a fixture in Oakhaven's social and philanthropic circles. Her family wealth was invested heavily in the city's stability, and Crucially, its development. She sat on the Oak Haven Revitalization Committee, a board dedicated to attracting the right firm for the massive Civic Heart project, a multi-billion-dollar undertaking set to redefine downtown. The leading contender, the group whose design was universally hailed as revolutionary and economically sound, was the Thorne Group. No one in Oak Haven knew the history of the firm's founder, Elias Thorne. He had built his empire on the other side of the country, specializing in the complete vertical reconstruction of mid-sized industrial cities. His firm's signature was integrating sustainability, smart technology, and truly affordable housing, a radical concept in Oak Haven. The suspense built as the day of the final contract signing. An introductory gala approached. Amelia, as the face of the committee, was tasked with presenting the key to the city to the esteemed Mr. Thorne. She had seen countless pictures, crisp suits, an air of profound authority. The same deep-set eyes, but aged, hardened by success, and carrying a gravitas that transcended the boy she knew. Yet, the name had never clicked until the background check was finalized. Elias Thorne. The realization hit her with the force of a physical blow. The quiet, mock teen was returning as the man who was about to build her entire city. He held the blueprint, and thus, the power. She tried to voice a concern to the committee chair, a gruff, old-school developer named Mr. Harrington. She met Harrington in his private office. The contract draft spread across the mahogany desk. She began, her voice tight. Mr. Harrington, about Elias Thorne. I knew him in high school. There was history, personal, perhaps volatile history. Harrington did not look up from his papers. History, Ms. Hanson? This isn't a high school drama club reunion. This is a billion-dollar contract. Elias Thorne is the best in the world. He's delivering Oak Haven a future we could only dream of. She pressed, I understand that, but I need to be honest. I was not kind to him. We were young, yes, but the interactions were deeply unpleasant. I fear this could compromise our partnership. His personal feelings might. He finally looked at her, his expression a mixture of contempt and disbelief. Ms. Hanson, you believe the most powerful urban visionary in the world, a man who dictates the future of entire municipalities, is going to risk his career because you once hurt his feelings over a decade ago? You flatter yourself. She insisted, You don't understand the level of humiliation. I truly mocked him. His poverty, his ambitions. Harrington leaned back, sighing heavily. His ambition, as you call it, just landed him this contract. His poverty is now a net worth that dwarfs your family trust. He returned your paperwork to us without comment. He attended all digital meetings without a single personal remark. He is a professional. You'll act like one. You'll present the keys, smile, and thank the man who built your city. Am I clear? She left the office with a knot of dread in her stomach. The fact that Elias had not acknowledged her shared past was not reassuring. It was terrifying. It suggested a level of control and calculation she was entirely unprepared for. The stage was set for their inevitable public collision. The gala was held in the unfinished, but breathtakingly grand atrium of the future Civic Heart building. The city's elite, including the mayor, the governor, and every major investor, was present. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of expensive champagne. Elias Thorne arrived precisely on time. He moved with a cool, collected energy. He was taller than she remembered, impeccably dressed, and possessed an aura of quiet, unassailable power. He shook hands, listened attentively to dignitaries, and spoke sparingly, his words carrying the weight of finality. He was, indisputably, the man in charge. Amelia's task was simple. Introduce him, praise his vision, and hand over the ceremonial key. She rehearsed her speech repeatedly, tried to inject genuine admiration while suppressing the tidal wave of anxiety. When the moment arrived, she took the stage, the spotlight blinding. She delivered her lines flawlessly, her voice clear and strong, hailing Thorne as a savior of Oak Haven. She introduced him, and the room erupted in applause. Elias walked onto the stage. He approached her, not with hostility, but with an unnerving detachment. His handshake was brief, firm, and cold. He took the podium, the microphone barely adjusting. The room fell silent. He began his speech, acknowledging the committee, the city council, and the investors. He outlined his vision with clinical precision, a city built for the next century, a model of equity and efficiency. Then he paused. He looked directly at Amelia, who stood beside the podium, holding the key to the city. He spoke, his voice carrying clearly over the sound system. And finally, I must thank the Oakhaven Revitalization Committee, and specifically Ms. Amelia Hansen, who holds a symbolic key to this new Oakhaven. Amelia smiled tightly, relief starting to wash over her. He's being professional. He let it go. Elias continued, his gaze still fixed on her. Ms. Hansen and I share a history, a long, formative history. In fact, her presence here tonight serves as one of the most powerful motivators for the work my firm does. The room shifted slightly, sensing a deviation from prepared remarks. Amelia felt a cold dread return. 15 years ago, in a hallway not 10 miles from where we stand, Ms. Hansen took great care to remind me exactly who I was, and more importantly, who she believed I would never be. She scoffed at my ambitions. She called my dreams castles in the air and suggested my only true talent was building cardboard box skyscrapers. She humiliated me for my financial circumstances. The gasp in the room was audible. The cameras flashed furiously. Amelia's face drained of color. He did not raise his voice, but the quiet intensity made the accusation devastating. She was absolutely right to do so. In her world, I was nothing. My dreams were invalid because they were not funded by inherited wealth. She held the social key to that world. And I left that day with one clear, cold certainty. I would not just build a city. I would build a city that did not operate by her rules. A city where talent, not trust funds, was a currency. A city where the quiet, brilliant kid from the East Side didn't just survive, but commanded the room. He took the physical key from her hand, the movement deliberate and symbolic. Tonight, I accept the key to Oakhaven. But understand this. I didn't come back to build her city. I came back to tear down the foundations of the system she represents and replace them with something real, something equitable, something that would have supported the boy she mocked. I am not here for revenge, Ms. Hansen. I am here for validation. My validation. He held up the key, turning his back to Amelia and addressing the investors. The Thorn Group is committed to this project, and we will deliver a masterpiece. But the rules of engagement have changed. The social architecture of Oakhaven is now under my design. The applause that followed was hesitant, then booming. It was an ovation not just for a contract signing, but for a public execution of the old guard. The public shaming was the headline for weeks. Amelia resigned from the committee almost immediately, her reputation shattered by the public acknowledgement of her youthful cruelty. The city, however, began to move under Elias Thorne's direction. The twist was in the detail of his architecture. Elias did not just build a city. He structurally dismantled Amelia's family legacy. Her family's primary real estate holdings were prime industrial zones, and the transit lines Elias designed bypassed them entirely, rendering them financially obsolete. The new city center, which Amelia's family desperately wanted to invest in, was structured as a non-profit trust, legally locking out major private stakeholders in a move designed to stabilize housing costs and prevent the kind of speculative wealth that the Hansens thrived on. Elias used the city's resources to uplift the East Side, the neighborhood he grew up in, making it the focal point of the new affordable housing and technology hub. He didn't just build around her family's wealth. He actively, legally, and professionally obliterated its power base within the city's new structure. 1 year after the gala, Amelia's father called her into his office. The walls lined with plaques that now looked hollow. The once formidable family firm was hemorrhaging money and influence. Her father's voice was raspy. "We're done, Amelia. The Thorn Group's contracts just starve us out. They priced us out of new bond issues. They devalued our property. They made our business model relevant." He didn't just win the contract. He won the city. Amelia, humbled by a year of public scrutiny, finally understood the full scope of his return. "I never thought he was capable of this level of planning, this kind of strategic malice." Her father corrected her. "It wasn't malice, Amelia. It was a flawless business plan." The best architecture is rooted in a deep understanding of the client's needs. His client wasn't the city elite. His client was the city itself, the people he grew up with. He was always a better architect than we gave him credit for. Weeks later, Amelia received an anonymous envelope. Inside was a single laminated piece of paper, a black and white photograph of the dusty hallway from 2005. The faint image showed the scattered pages of Vitruvius's De Architectura on the floor. On the back, handwritten in elegant, precise script, were only 2 words: City Builder. There was no further communication, no opportunity for apology, no final confrontation. Elias Thorne had simply completed his design. He had built his city, and in the process, he had carefully, meticulously, and publicly dismantled the world of the woman who had mocked a quiet black teen for daring to dream too big. The only remaining sound was the hammering of construction crews, the evidence of his undeniable, permanent legacy, forever echoing her humiliation. What do you think of Elias Thorne's return? Was his public confrontation an act of justified vengeance or a powerful moment of necessary social correction? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of real-life reckoning and incredible success.